Do you know even if you use the best feed for your broiler chicks from day 1 to day 7, you still will not hit the target weight by day 7? This is because if you don't use the right form of feeder for them for that first week, which is very, very crucial for their growth, you still will not hit the target weight. In this video, I'll be showing you the right form of feeder you should use for your chicks from day 1 to day 7, and exceed that target weight of 4.5 times the arrival weight by day 7. I'll also be showing you how to feed them to ensure that you exceed this weight. Welcome to Farm Biz with Make. In this channel, we show you how to maximize profit in farming through creativity. When it comes to raising broilers, it's very important the form of feeder you use in raising your birds right from day old. Very, very important. When it comes to feeders to choose from, you only have about two form of feeder for your day old chicks. That is the tray feeder, which is the popular one around, the tube chick feeder, and the flip feeder. It is very, very important the one you choose. Now for the tray feeder, this is very, very effective because they have easy access to feed, because you can see them, they all jump into it, have access to feed in no time. Now this is because the ease of use, they can scratch the feed there, they practice this, their natural instinct, scratching for feed and all of that. In that they have easy access to feed, they learn feeding as quickly as possible. They also eat without stress. It also encourages early feeding because they can easily see the feed, they can peck on it and all of that. But there are drawbacks to this option of tray feeders because they can easily scratch beddings material into the feed. They can pull on the feed. They can even do all sorts of things on the feed as they have access to the feed. So this can lead to feed contamination, wastage of feed. It's not ideal after 5 to 7 days. Chicks feeders are not as ideal for them after 5 to 7 days. That is for chicks feeder because it's a bit labor intensive in that every now and then you need to come around, remove the poo, remove any form of wood shave or sawdust you find in the feed, and then add a little to it. So it's a bit labor intensive compared to the other two form of feeder, that is the tube chick feeder and the flip feeder. For the flip feeder, this is the design is beautiful and it's also very, very effective because each chick has its own partition, that is in its own point that he can put his head to pick feed from the chick feeder. However, this is not ideal by day 1 because from my experience, when I give it to them by day 1, they don't really eat much. They only start eating from it from day 2 properly. Now remember the first 7 days, which is our target weight for this 1 week, 4.5 times the arrival weight. We don't want to joke with it. We want them to start eating as soon as possible, though we practice water before feed. After taking that water for about 1 hour or so, we introduce feed. We want them to be eating as quickly as possible. So giving them this flip feeder for them to be eating from that day 1 might not really be encouraging because they won't really pick feed as much. So to avoid that, you use the tray feeder from day 1. Then you introduce the flip feeder. If you have them just like me, you introduce them by day 2. That's how I practice it. Though at times you see me put both of them there right from day 1. The feed inside the flip feeder, they don't normally eat it much. They concentrate more on that one they can see, which is the tray feeder, than the flip feeder. So because of this, I advise you use it from day 2. By that day 2, they will have access to it. Now the advantage of this flip feeder is this: they don't have they won't be able to spray much sawdust or wool shave in it. Though at times as they grow from that day 3, day 4, as they scratch the beddings material, some will fall into it. And it's also not that possible, though at times you could see there, for them to have physical contact with the feed. No, they can't have physical contact with the feed. So it's the issue of contamination is avoided by using this form of feeder, which is the flip feeder. So that doesn't mean like they don't pull inside this. At times you see some pull, though all you need to do, you flip it open, remove those pull, and then cover it back. It's also very effective. It's best for brooding stage. It also encourage feeding, especially from day 2, not from day 1. It's not that labor intensive compared to the chick feeder. Now, you can also make good use of the chick tube feeder. That is also very, very okay. Now, remember the type of feeding we employ, if you've been following my video, is ad libitum. Ad libitum, we don't practice dump feeding while still maintaining that ad libitum, feeding 24/7. You don't need to just pack the feed there. Okay, this is what they can finish within 6 hours and go. No, you don't feed your day-old chicks that way. Now, this tube feeder would have enabled you to do such, then just pack the feed in the tube, so fill it up. Oh, this is something they can eat for the whole day. Yes, but we don't do it that way. But remember, as far as you place it on the floor, especially from that, after removing the cartons covering the bedding materials, they can easily spread wood shave or sawdust in this feeder, especially from that point where they eat from. It's labor intensive as well. They can also pull on this form of feeder. So either way, whichever feeder you want to use, whether the tray feeder, the flip feeder, the chick tube feeder, is good, but be ready to do a little bit of work by removing the pool, removing the wood shave and all of that. To minimize this, what we do from day 1, that is before you introduce the chicks into the brooder, we cover the bedding materials, that is the sawdust or the wood shave, with either newspaper or carton, so that they don't have access to that bedding materials for the first few days. This is very important because they may not be able to differentiate feed from that sawdust from day 1. So to avoid that, we cover the bedding materials with newspaper or cartons. Then at times, what I also do in order to maximize this weight gain by that day 7, I spray a little bit of feed on the carton so that wherever they are in the pen, in the brooder rather, they should have access to feed. They should be able to pick feed wherever they are. So that you can also, it can lead a bit to feed wastage though. But what you can do to minimize this is to ensure that you increase the number of feeders, the number of tray feeders or flip feeders that you are using. But for me, I like the tray feeders because they have easy access to feed, because I feed them in bits. I don't normally bother too much about pulling on the feed and all of that, because I know within 1 hour, I will come back there, remove any form of poo, any form of dirt I might see inside the feed, and then add a little to it, something that they can finish within 1 to 2 hours. So that is how I practice mine. I also add the number of flip feeders to them, though I don't normally use the tube feeder. What I do, when I normally introduce the tube feeder is after 1 week, after doing away with this chick feeder. So I introduce this other form of feeder, which is not ideal for matured bird, but though it's ideal after about 10 days. Then I introduce this other form of feeder to them. So they also love it, and they also are able to pick feed from this feeder. But whichever one you choose, ensure is the type that they can easily pick feed from the feeder. Very, very important. Ensure they can easily pick feed, because their growth is what we are interested in. Whether we make use of tray feeder, whether we make use of flip feeder, whether we make use of chick tube feeder, it doesn't matter. What matters is that are they able to pick feed easily? This is very, very important. When it comes to cost too, tray feeder is the cheapest among these feeders. Is the cheapest. I think about at the time of recording this video, one tray feeder is sold about 1,100 naira in my areas. In some areas, it could be sold for 1,000 naira, as the case may be. But for this flip feeder, it's been sold, I think about 5,000, if not more than. So you could imagine that. And each tray feeder can comfortably take about 25 chicks. Now, for the flip feeder, depending on the number of mouth, the number of holes, design on the flip feeder, that's what actually tell you the number of chicks the flip feeder can take. But like this type that I'm using, each one I can take about 28 chicks, though they can't all be eating at the same time. Make do with the tray feeder, the flip feeder. Now, after about 1 week or so, I introduced this other form of tube feeder to it, so that by that day 7, I maximize that weight. So with this system, I always exceed that 4.5 times the arrival weight. And this is how I raise my chicks from day 8 till day 7. And it's been giving me a very good result. Whichever feeder you choose is very important. You give your chicks time. You don't just dump feed there and then go. Give them time. Don't practice dump feeding. If you want to achieve this weight, don't practice dump feeding. Put a little bit of feed that you know these chicks can finish within 2 hours. Then after which, come back again, remove any form of pool you can see there, and then add to the feed. So this is how you practice your feeding to ensure maximum weight is achieved by day 7. Thank you so very much. If you find this video helpful, kindly do well to hit the subscribe button. Turn on the notification icon, like and comment in the comment section below, as this will do a whole lot for us in helping us to grow our channel and reach a larger audience. Thank you so very much.